fate of a 2022 murder suspect is now in the hands of a jury. Good evening and thank you for joining us. A Thunder Bay murder suspect is awaiting a verdict at this hour. 20-year-old Daniel Keefe has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder in connection with the stabbing death of 19-year-old Aidan Cunningham at a home on Crown Street. The trial began last week and lawyers for the Crown and defense made their final submissions yesterday. Keefe was 18 years old when he was arrested in June of 2022. The jury heard details of how Cunningham died after being stabbed twice in the chest. Keefe's lawyer argued the stabbing was in self-defense. The jury began deliberating this afternoon. The judge says they have three verdict options. They can find Keefe not guilty of second-degree murder, not guilty of second-degree murder, but guilty of manslaughter, or guilty of second-degree murder. We'll have more details when the verdict is reached. A lawsuit launched against the OPP and Thunder Bay Police by former Mayor Keith Hobbs, his wife, and another woman will move ahead to trial. They're seeking $12.5 million in total damages for what they call a negligent investigation against them. In January of 2020, Hobbs, his wife Marissa, and their friend were all found not guilty of extortion after being charged in 2017. The lawsuit against the two police forces was filed in September of 2020. Lawyers for the OPP and City Police had attempted to have the lawsuit thrown out. But on Monday, a judge allowed the negligent investigation claims to proceed to trial. The other claims for false arrest and breaches of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms were dismissed. The lawyer for the Hobbses says her clients are happy with the results as the main issues in their lawsuit are all tied to how the investigation was carried out. The case now moves into the evidence discovery phase, which is expected to start in May and last several weeks. Last night's City Council meeting saw the ratification of the 2025 operating budget without any discussion or debate. It comes with an overall tax levy increase of 3.7% after growth. Council was also presented with a $1 million fundraising campaign for the planned indoor turf facility. Jessica Clement reports.
City Council received an overview Monday night of a community-led fundraising campaign hoping to raise $1 million for the $42 million proposed multi-use indoor turf facility. Soccer Northwest President Michael Veneziali made the presentation joined by committee members, which also has representatives from cricket, ultimate frisbee, touch football, and the West Fort Little League. He emphasizes there are a number of community groups across the city that will benefit from the space.
We hope this campaign shows the heart and dedication of some of the people that will use this facility. We're not doing this for ourselves, we're doing this for the next generation of athletes, for families looking for a space to gather, and for many future groups who will benefit from having a place to call home.
Veneziali mentioned the committee has some fundraising limitations, which includes not having the ability to offer advertising inside the building. Councillor Rajni Agrawal asked how else they could raise the funds.
What ideas do you have? If you can't have naming rights, is there a wall or something of that kind of that you can help to benefit?
It's not that we are not going to pursue naming rights, and it's not that we are not going to pursue every marketing opportunity, but we, the city, are going to do that. The community groups will do the community fundraising, and we will do the corporate.
Veneziali explained the funds will be going towards the capital cost to help bring it down for users. The fundraising would begin after the city awards the contract to build the turf facility. Also Monday night, Council asked city staff to undertake a traffic study and parking review on Sunrise Boulevard off Golf Links Road. Councillor Michael Zacino brought the proposal forward after receiving complaints about bottlenecking from residents.
One of the neighbors put out a petition. 240 people supported the notion. So I'm like, well, if 240 people think this is an issue, then maybe we should look at see if we can remedy this or what can be done.
It was discussed that some employees and clients of the regional hospital may use the spot for free parking. The traffic study itself will take place over the course of the year, with the results being presented to Council in January 2026.
This will be a specific item that we will address in our review. We are not going to do an exhaustive review of every parking spot in the city. So this helps provide some focus, should it be the will of Council, that we look specifically at this issue.
Council voted unanimously in support of Zacino's motion. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Also during last night's meeting, city staff explained to council why it's unfeasible to have pets buried with their owners at the two city-owned cemeteries. The idea was proposed by Councillor Shelby Chung last June. A feasibility study by city staff notes that a lack of space for new cemetery plots makes the service impractical at this time. But City Parks Manager Corey Halverson notes it could be considered in the future if cemetery operations are expanded.
Offering that service needs to be included in the original definition of the cemetery lands in use, so therefore it can't be applied to the existing cemetery lands that are in progress.
And it was never my intent to have a separate standalone cemetery for pets. It was to be buried with a pet. I'm satisfied with this, Chair. I'm not going to be picking at this. We have other hills to die on, so thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for your work.
Canada's premiers, including Ontario's Doug Ford, are in Washington today trying to fend off the trade war with the U.S. As CTV's Siobhan Morris tells us, his political opponents are criticizing Ford for splitting his focus during an election campaign that they continue to insist was unnecessary.
Addressing the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, Doug Ford describes what he sees as an unnecessary trade war between close friends.
A lot of the world is sitting back and laughing, and I'll tell you who's sitting back and laughing is China.
Stressing to the room of mostly American-based Canadian business leaders.
Please get the message to President Trump. This is not a good idea for both countries.
With no direct line to the unpredictable president, Ford insists this visit with 2 days of meetings isn't futile.
The Canadian people want us here, not just Ontarians.
Though the lines between provincial leader and re-election candidate are a little blurred.
I am the Premier of Ontario. We're in election mode right now.
The Progressive Conservative Party's paying for this mid-campaign southern swing with another planned later this month. Other party leaders have criticized Ford's trip and his election call in the middle of a tariff fight. Today, those leaders were making promises to appeal to young people and their parents. Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie is promising more cash for post-secondary institutions.
We know that they're funded to half the rate that other colleges and universities in other provinces are.
Forcing many schools to cancel or scale back programs. Crombie also wants to improve the Ontario Student Assistance Program.
We're eliminating the interest payment on it. We're increasing the threshold at which it has to be paid back.
While a PC government commissioned report recommended ending a tuition freeze that's been in place since 2019, Crombie and NDP leader Marit Stiles agree.
It's not a time to raise tuition on hardworking, struggling Ontario families.
Offering other education relief.
We're going to turn student loans into grants, and we're going to cut interest on existing student loans.
Neither the NDP nor the Liberals have said how much more funding they're proposing for colleges and universities.
I like pink too.
Green leader Mike Schreiner spent the day in Kitchener shoring up support for his deputy Ashlyn Clancy.
She listens to her constituents, and then she brings solutions to Queen's Park, like her bill to protect renters, which came directly from people in this riding.
Schreiner will unveil his party's full platform in Toronto Wednesday. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
With Ontarians set to head to the polls, TBT News is once again profiling the candidates in the two Thunder Bay area ridings. Tonight, we're starting off with the incumbent MPP in Thunder Bay Atikokan. Kevin Holland is looking for a second straight election win to once again represent the riding at Queen's Park. Vasilios Bellos has more in this candidate profile.
Progressive Conservative Kevin Holland has served as the MPP for Thunder Bay Atikokan since 2022, when the longtime mayor of Conmee made a successful switch to provincial politics. It was the first time the PCs won the riding since 1985. In August of last year, he was named to cabinet as the Associate Minister of Forestry and Forest Products. Holland spoke about why he decided to run for re-election.
In the last 2.5 years, we've brought substantial investment into the riding. We're at $1.3 billion across all sectors, including $263 for healthcare. And we've seen the dial move, the needle move in a lot of those core issues that were impacting Thunder Bay Atikokan. And I want to make sure that I continue to be the voice for Thunder Bay Atikokan in the next PC majority government to ensure that the work we've started continues.
With a wide range of issues being considered by voters this election, Holland spoke about what he calls his main priority for the riding if he's elected to another term at Queen's Park.
So I want to continue to make sure that we're attracting the investments to Thunder Bay that provide for that strong economy, because it's a strong economy that supports our healthy communities and the program that provides for healthy communities. So those really are my two priorities, is just to continue on the work that we've started.
The incumbent MPP says despite a recent knee surgery, he's ready for another election battle. We asked Holland what he believes sets him apart from the other candidates running in Thunder Bay Atacocan.
I've been successful in advocating on the needs and on the priorities of Thunder Bay Atacocan, taking that message down and getting action on behalf of our riding. And it's all about engaging with people in Thunder Bay. I've had numerous meetings, roundtables with organizations, agencies, and businesses to find and bringing people together to find out how we can really capitalize on the opportunities that are before us. And I think we're realizing that benefit.
Vasilios Ballos, TBT News.
Tomorrow we'll hear from the Liberal candidate in that riding, Stephen Marguerite. Well, the Scotties Tournament of Hearts will kick off this Friday evening at Fort William Gardens. Thunder Bay's Krista McCarville will get the chance to compete in front of big crowds of hometown fans during the 10-day tournament. But with limited parking around the gardens, Scotties organizers are encouraging spectators to make use of their shuttle bus locations to help avoid a parking fiasco. Brendan Miller has more.
The Scotties Tournament of Hearts is returning to Fort William Gardens, and the hockey rink is being transformed into 4 top-quality curling sheets. Starting Friday evening, Canada's top female curlers will hit the pebbled ice, attempting to win the Scotties and represent Team Canada. With Krista McCarville's Northern Ontario rink being the hometown heroes, it's anticipated sellout crowds will come out to see them play. Their coach, Rick Lang, is also the tournament co-chair, and he says they've come up with a plan to avoid a parking fiasco.
It's no secret that the Gardens has very difficult parking, especially with the crowds we're expecting on opening and closing weekend for sure. So we're very fortunate to see CEDC sponsored, along with Tourism Thunder Bay, enough funding that we'll have 3 buses running full-time, morning, noon, and night. You can get a ride to every draw. We're going to be servicing with the hotel shuttles. There'll be a bus before and after every draw from all the hotels in town. And as well, maybe more importantly for local people, is that we're going to have 2 parking rides. So a parking lot at the Valhalla, parking lot at the CLE, and we're going to have continuous buses before every draw.
On the schedules for the first week, at the CLE, 5 buses will depart leading up to the start of every draw, with 4 buses returning. At the Valhalla, 2 buses will depart for the 9 a.m. draw. 3 will depart for the afternoon draws, with equal number returning afterwards.
There's just not a lot of parking around the building in the first place, so we want it to be as comfortable as we can for the people that are going to the games, and hopefully encourage you to get out in the cold winter night and go see some really exciting action.
In addition, the Fort William Curling Club floor will serve as a 1,000-person bar called The Patch. It will be free to enter, with live entertainment each night. The games will also be shown on big screens around the curling club. Preparations for the event are nearing completion for the Scotties, which runs from February 14th to the 23rd. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
Today is February 11th, which by the numbers is 211. That's also the phone line for social and health services information. Because of that connection, the local United Way chose today to launch a tasty fundraiser for the brand new 211 Urgent Needs Fund. The United Way of Thunder Bay has partnered with the Persian Man Bakery to sell these special red versions of the bakery's trademark pastry. A portion of the sales will go to the 211 Urgent Needs Fund, which offers emergency assistance to residents at risk of falling into poverty. TBT helped kickstart the fund with a $10,000 investment. United Way CEO Albert Brule explains more about the new fund.
We're pleased to announce that with the support of TBT, we are establishing an Urgent Needs Fund. This will be a resource that people who maybe might otherwise fall through the cracks can apply to and get support for unexpected or emergency expenses.
So this is a $10,000 investment into the Urgent Need Fund with 211, which 211 is a great resource when people are having some challenges. They can call 211 and get the resource help that they need.
The special red pastries will be available at the Persian Man until Valentine's Day this Friday. All right, let's turn our attention to the weather now. And Haley, it was another very cold day out there today.
Yes, absolutely. Even our overnight temperatures were shockingly colder than expected. We weren't hoping to break minus 30 in at least the base temperatures, but we did. Well, and it was more early this morning. Between 7 and 8 this morning, we hit minus 32. Oof. Yeah, we weren't hoping to get there, but we did. And our wind chills were minus 37 at the time. And by 9 a.m., they hit minus 39 with the wind chill. So it was very, very cold getting ready this morning. I don't know if you plugged in your car or if you had troubles, but I hope you got to where you needed to go today, cozy and safe, because it was a doozy out there. Now, winds themselves were from the west, but they weren't too gusty today. We did have mainly sunny skies, so there's still something positive. You know me, I'm always gonna try and find something positive. I've been getting a lot of slack today, but you know what? February's not in my hands, it's in the hands of Marmot Mike, and he predicted long winter, so it's not my fault. And if anything, it's Haley appreciation time. Now, we saw a high of minus 15. We still might hit minus 14 at this hour. Wind chills making it feel more like minus 18. So regardless, much colder than we're expecting for this time of year. Now, for the rest of the region, a lot of areas didn't break out of the minus 20s today. We see minus 20 in Red Lake, Sioux Lookout, and Dryden. We see minus 22 in Kenora and Pickle Lake. Earlier today, there was some areas to the north, Red Lake, Sioux Lookout, and Armstrong, that did see some light flurries in the morning around 8 or 9 a.m. After that, though, for the most part, it was mainly clear skies across the region. Now, areas like Fort Frances, although they did see the extreme colds that elsewhere in the region saw last night, they did get to warm up a little bit. Their high was minus 17 today. They're now at minus 18, but lows were absolutely crazy. We saw minus 36 actually in Fort Frances with wind chills of minus 39. We did see a wind chill of minus 41 in Kenora. So when those wind chills get up to those very, very cold temperatures, that's where you see extreme cold warnings. And we do have extreme cold warnings for majority of our areas on the map here. Now, Red Lake and Pickle Lake do get to dodge those warnings, and areas along the North Shore and Greenstone do get to avoid those warnings as well, but that doesn't mean you're out of the woods. It's still gonna be very cold, just maybe not minus 40 with the wind chill, so that's not saying much. Now, areas like Sault Ste. Marie, they are seeing some light flurries at this hour, but they've seen mainly a mix of sun and cloud today. Their winds coming more from the east rather than the west, and they're at minus 11 right now. Now, for tonight, we'll have a low of minus 29, with a wind chill of minus 36. So once again, extremely cold. This is the trend for this week, unfortunately, so we have to get used to it. We're almost there, though. After tonight, it's the middle of the week, right? I'm really trying here, Ryan. I'm trying to come up with ways to be positive. Like I said yesterday, it's all about what's in our hearts, and so I'm still staying strong. We're almost at Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Haley appreciation time off to a bit of a rough start with these
Look, I'm just saying, if you appreciate me now, then you'll understand the warm weather later.
Nothing like declaring yourself that it is now Haley appreciation time.
Hey, I also coined the nickname too, I think, so it works.
Yeah, that won't have the opposite effect around this office. All right, well, speaking of things that we don't appreciate, those tariffs and the ongoing threats from Donald Trump, Canadian politicians not appreciating that, neither do most Canadians. We'll have the latest details and tell you what our politicians are doing to fight those after the break.
Our response, of course, will be firm and clear.